Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the RDO Podcast. I'm Jason Von Cannell, and this is my brother and co-host Alex Von Cannell. How you going, bro?
I'm good, how are you?
Very well, thank you, mate. Just want to start off by saying a big thank you to the overwhelming response that we had from last week's episode.
There is way more people that watch it than what I thought.
Yeah, it was actually super unexpected. So everyone who did watch it, everyone who liked it, subscribed to it, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And hopefully you enjoy the second one here as well.
We have learned some stuff, that's why we've changed the angles. We are listening.
Yeah.
The audio stuff is a work in progress. We've got some plans for the audio.
Yeah.
So we're going to look after that.
Hopefully you find this a little bit more stimulating this week as well too.
Many things here for you to
Yeah,
look
look
at.
at all that stuff to look at. So let's just start off with, so what have you been up to for last week, man?
I actually want to start off with something different.
Okay.
So we had a plan. I'm going off script.
Right.
It was your birthday recently.
It was.
And I have not given you your present. So
Ah.
I'll give it to you now. I don't know if you can see that. That is Shane Warne's fragrance.
Oh man, thank you very much. Very much.
So do you want to tell everyone why you like Shane Warne so much?
So Shane Warne is a bit of a personal hero of mine, purely because no other Australian athlete has gone from the penthouse to the shithouse and back again, and back down again, and back up again, more than Shane Warne has. Yeah, massive fan. Amazing.
I just think
cricketer.
you have to admire him for the amount, like the highest
Okay.
quality.
Oh, do we have to pay him for credits if we show his face?
Yes.
Let's do that.
The
Good free
highest
advertising.
quality women on the market. He's landed
Well, the biggest
and
thing,
left.
the biggest thing about Shane Warne, right? So you got to think. So when it comes to cricket, anyone who's not a cricket fan out there, the old enemy is England, right? So it's Australia versus England. Hate each other, has been the biggest rivalry in cricket since forever. So Shane Warne went to England, a country supposed to hate him because he was so effective against them for so many years, and bagged Elizabeth Hurley. And this was back when Elizabeth Hurley was the shit. Now, if you
She still is.
yeah, if you've jumped on her Instagram at all, she's still the shit.
She's
She's
still
doing
the
well, but
But not enough of the shit for Shane Warne.
true.
Shane Warne. No. This is an honest question.
Right.
Imagine being so self-confident that you're with Liz Hurley and you go, you know what? I can do better.
We probably can.
I can do better.
We probably can. He just bowls mystery balls.
That's
at
Liz
other
Hurley.
Yeah.
When
Hey.
did he quit cricket?
Oh, years ago.
He's a washed-up cricketer.
Mate, he's got a new fragrance out. You bought it.
It was cheap.
He's doing well.
It was Chemist Warehouse. It was definitely not sold at any boutique.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
So no, but I thought that's a twofold thing. I know you're a big fan of Shane Warne, and you stink, so that's why I got you that. So that was a bit.
I definitely do stink, probably because of what I'm doing these days as well. So that's a nice.
So
segue.
something we didn't talk about, and we got a bit of feedback around, and it was totally true. We got caught on a tangent for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We never actually discussed what Jason's doing now. So we went through his whole working career, but obviously that changed pretty recently.
Yeah, so a lot of things changed this year. Obviously, COVID was a massive thing, has made huge impacts on not only our industry, but every industry. But the biggest change for me this year was that back in January, my wife and I had our little boy, our little Nate. How bogan's this? He was born on Australia Day. So you're welcome, little boy, because it means you get a public holiday every birthday.
Yeah, until they change it.
Yeah, that's another episode there too, right? But yeah, so had our first little boy, and so I was living on the Gold Coast, well, am living in the Gold Coast, and was commuting to Brisbane every single day for work. So it was just getting to a point where it was too much time away from home. So it is that old thing of, like, in the industry, most blokes miss a lot of things. And look, obviously women too, who do want to go back to work, but our industry is pretty male dominated. But, you know, when traffic was normal, I was leaving home at 6:15 in the morning, so kiddo was still asleep, and I was getting home at 7:30 at night, which meant kiddo was already asleep. So got to a point where I was like, okay, it's probably the perfect storm of reasons to take a spell. So at the moment, I basically would classify my job title as stay-at-home dad. My job not home.
Which is I think it's a big call. It's probably bigger because, and I'd spoken to some other friends of mine, and literally only one yesterday, who admired that call, because it's not the traditional way of doing it.
No, look, it's not. But like before anyone goes like and gives me big props and stuff like that, like I just want to be clear. This was a completely selfish call. It's a selfish thing. So I'm so super fortunate to have a wife who is really supportive of me and always has been in everything I've ever done. Now she's pretty keen to go back to work too because she's a school teacher, so she hasn't actually worked. Well, she's been doing a bit of relief work over the last couple of weeks, but she's pretty keen to start actually getting back stuck into it. And I mean, this is a completely selfish call on my behalf. So basically, I get to jump out of doing the work thing every single day. I get to spend a lot of time at home with Nate, which has been awesome. It's actually really cool watching the way they develop every single day. They learn new tricks. They get so excited about it. Like literally being able to, go into his room in the morning and he wakes up and he like flaps his arms at you and big smile on his face, and like it's a pretty cool feeling. So that's basically what I'm doing now. So I resigned about 3 weeks ago from a job that I was really enjoying as well. I'd actually just been given the position that I wanted for the last 2 years, and I only did that position for 2 months before I made the decision to resign. Really, really happy with it. The one big tip I'll give anyone out there who's listening is the only reason why I could resign was, number one, super supportive wife, but number two, we saved enough money in the last couple of years knowing we were going to have a child. Not thinking I was going to quit my job or anything like that, but just let's call it a freedom fund. Having some money in the bank gives you some freedom to make decisions like this. So
you planned for it.
Yeah. Well, again, plan for whatever. Didn't plan necessarily to quit, but maybe if it was going to be, funnily enough, like plan for maybe even looking at like part-time hours or something like that, which with COVID's kind of, been forced upon people anyway. But again, super fortunate that we made some pretty smart decisions over the last few years to actually put some money in the bank, which means we can afford for me to take some time out for however long I end up doing. Might end up going back to the industry, might end up doing something completely different. Who knows? It's actually quite a cool feeling to have.
Yeah, it's funny, like that life stage, and I think we're in our early to mid 30s now, and I noticed in myself that I went through like a full-on hardcore dedication to work. Putting everything and more into it, sometimes more, to my own detriment sometimes. And it's interesting now because it's not just me, it's not just you, but it's a lot of our peers. We're getting to this different facet of our lives now where some different priorities are sort of coming to the surface. So I've got a couple of friends that are really into the family thing. I'm not into the family thing. I don't like kids. I just had to entertain two here in the office while I had a customer out. They tried to roll me with my cash and my jewellery. But I get it now. I get why we go through these transition periods, and I think that's a good lesson there. Is that you should start thinking about that kind of stuff, because I think you'll change. If you're 18, 19, 20 now, you think I'm just going to do this forever, I'm going to make bank, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. If you tick yourself up to your eyeballs, it makes it very hard to make a transition like this. Now, it could be a family transition, it could be, in my case, it was a business transition. You might have opportunities overseas. If you've built a foundation in advance, you're now... you've got the ability to be more dynamic now.
Yeah, that's right. I think like there's no wrong way or right way to do life. I think that at the end of the day, though, there's pros and cons to everything, and you still need to plan ahead for you yourself to evolve as a person. So what I mean by that, like when I was first out of high school, not really knowing what I wanted to do, I was a worker, I was a grinder. So, and I've been a grinder for the last 15 years. And I think that comes back from our parents. So our parents moved here from overseas, didn't have any family support or backup or anything like that. Our dad is Swiss, never learned to speak English formally or anything like that. But just had to find a way to make it happen. And so when we were younger, we saw them work and grind every single day just to be able to make ends meet, but also start to thrive as well. Started their own business, ended up doing extremely well. That was a really, really positive thing for us to see as kids. But I do remember some financial stress too, like when we were kids as well. So I always thought, as soon as I was old enough to be able to think for myself, that I was always planning on working really hard, grinding away, setting myself up so that when I had a family, we weren't going to have those same sort of financial stresses that we had as kids. And we've largely done that.
I'd like to paint a little picture of that, because some people might be thinking, what does that look like? Like, I've heard setting up. What does set up mean? If I had to give someone a template, if I had to give a younger version of myself a template of what to do, when you start earning good money, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, go hard, splurge.
Yep, enjoy it.
Enjoy the money. But then you come up with a plan. Now, what does that plan look like? That plan might look like a savings plan. That plan might look like investing in shares. That plan might look like buying a property. But have a plan with the idea of an end game.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as, there's no such thing as get rich quick.
No, definitely not.
I'm not a gambler. You are a gambler.
Yep.
As a hobby, do not make that your income source.
No.
That is not an income source.
No, that's right.
But what financial stability, I suppose, looks like is being in a position where if you're living paycheck to paycheck, which a large percentage of
so many people are, for sure.
That's a problem. And what you'll find is probably not, in most cases, it's probably not your income that's the problem.
Yeah, it's your spending.
It's your outgo. Outgoing.
Because that's the problem about our generation too, is we jump on Instagram and you see all the cool celebrities with the Rolex watch and the Lamborghini, and everyone's got this pose factor out there. Like, one of the biggest things I've struggled with, I'm not a fashionista, as you guys can probably tell, never have been. Biggest things I've struggled with in the last 3 weeks, I've got no clothes, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so used to wearing a work uniform every single day, which is the same business shirt, the same business pants and shoes and whatever. I've never had to plan for more than 1 to 2 days a week of wearing something else. You know what I mean? Because I'm a splurge on clothes and the latest trends and whatever. And when you, like, clothes industry, when we're talking about, like, the sales industry, I love the clothes industry because it is the biggest sales, like, gimmicky business on the planet. They literally go, what you bought last season, which is what we told you to buy, that's out now. It's out. It's old stuff, old news.
Yeah.
But luckily we got to you, the hot new scoop. You need to buy these new things.
Yeah.
And it just revolves around. They literally use that FOMO, or fear of missing out, and they glamorize stuff with celebrities and that sort of thing to tell you the shit you bought 6 months ago is out of fashion and you need to buy the new stuff.
Funny, because that stuff doesn't register on my like that advertising stuff. I find it funny. I find it funny because but obviously the algorithm on my social media doesn't show me fashion stuff. I'm not a fashionable guy either. I'm a t-shirt guy and I'm a jeans or shorts guy. You know, throw some colours in there and that's me. But that going that week to week, I think a lot of people out there will find, and there's some financial areas which are new. So things like Afterpay, that system of credit is different to what was before. So you may have had a budget, now that budget's changed somewhat. And I think we've had an argument whether, if you're doing a budget, would you count your Afterpay payment or the total purchase price? And I would say, from a safety point of view, I would want to count the full purchase price of that object, so that I'm knowing that I'm spending $300 a month on clothes. For sure. And not $30 a fortnight or whatever it is. I think, look at it, if you always plan for the bigger figure, you'll probably be more advanced later on. So now, I'm by no means, or none of us are by any means wealthy. Not at all. But we've just given ourselves some breathing space so we can reassess things.
And it gives you options. We've all been in positions in life when we've been working for maybe a boss who's not someone who's good to work for, or an organisation that's going pear-shaped, it's a really hard thing to remove yourself from those sorts of environments when you've got no fallback plan. So if you are living paycheck to paycheck, you need that money. You just got to show up.
Yeah.
And again, I guess in the motor trade, one of the difficulties is you got to show up 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. It doesn't really give you enough time to go, all right, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to research new businesses I might want to work for or new careers I might want to have. It makes it really difficult to study and stuff like that in outside of what you're doing because you just don't have the time. If you want to fit in,
you don't have the mental capacity either after you've been ground down.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to put a bit of a this is something I've said for quite some years now, but I think everyone's worried about millennials and they're going to be hard and rah rah. I think the future of work needs to change, and I do think one of the biggest things so millennials, the research says generally that they want more variety. So I think in the future it's going to be a case of employers are going to have to show give someone a job with that variety, whether it be you work 2 days a week in this department and you work 2 days a week in that department and you have a day off, say a 4-day work week. I'm a big proponent of the 4-day work week.
Sure, yeah.
Or let someone work 2 different jobs.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, before you said, no, you've got to concentrate on my thing. My job, this job that you've got right here, this is the most important thing in your world.
Yeah.
I think the future we need to be a little bit dynamic with that. We need to we will get good people in if you are providing a platform or a framework that they enjoy. And I think there needs to be something outside of the 100% grind that they put in.
Yeah, and look, a big part of this for me comes down to leadership. And look, we're probably going to end up doing whole shows on leadership, but the biggest thing for me about leadership and organisations like that. So I worked in a job once where we were paid by the hour, so we were casual, and our boss's opinion of that was that because I'm paying you by the hour, I own you for the entire time that you're here. So if you're not doing something, you're a waste of money.
Yeah.
It got to the point we went through a bit of a quiet period. Not a lot of work on, not a lot of things to do. He literally made people sweep the ceiling. He was like, "No, look, there's dust on the ceiling. Go and sweep the ceiling." And we're all just like, "Can we just have a break, like for just 5 minutes, just to shoot the shit, re-energize?" Like that sort of dead time has no benefit to anyone. No one walked into that joint and thought, "Oh, that ceiling's too dusty. Like I'm not going to do business here." No one thought that, so there's no benefit to the business by doing it. It fractured the relationship between the staff and the management. Because we were all just like, we know what you said last week. No one wants to do bullshit jobs, right? So we were all like, this is a bullshit job. He's making us do this out of a power trip. That time, we could have actually been spending working on our skills.
Yeah.
You know, like this wasn't the motor trade, it's a completely different industry. But there were a lot of things that we could have just been practicing every single day. So we were the best at it when the work came in.
It takes leadership for like a good leader should have gone and said, okay, so we've got some downtime now. We're going to focus on this thing here and actually take the reins of it. Yeah. But even, I think you'll find that even from their point of view, that manager at the time, they knew there was nothing on. Like they couldn't think of anything to develop either.
That's exactly right. And again, that is just the story across so many businesses in this country and in the world is bad management.
Yeah.
What happens all the time? You take the person who's the best at doing the entry-level job and you go, well, if they're the best at that, let's step them up into a management position because if they can teach everyone else underneath them to do it the same way that they did it, then the business improves. We know that's not the case. We know that even me personally, I was not the best salesperson. I didn't do the volume that so many other people I've worked with could do. I, like you said last week, spent too long with my customers, just
way too long,
talking too much shit a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I was not the best salesperson. My skill set, I feel, actually better suited being a manager because I think what really drives me is having people who rely on me. So if you rely on me, then I'm going to put in 110% because I know what I do affects you.
Yeah.
When I was a salesperson, it's a very selfish job. Because look, although you're a big part of a big team and you know there's targets that you need to hit for the business and all that sort of stuff, at the very guts of it, a salesperson's there to sell cars to make themselves money. That's what that role is. it didn't actually work with my brain as well as I guess you would think it might. And I think for me that comes from playing team sports. I played team sports since I was like 4 years old. I've always been part of teams. I've captained almost every team I played for because I understood that what you enjoyed doing, you would do really well and you put a lot of effort into.
See, I think the future of management is probably going to be people that study psychology are going to be the ones that can extract the best out of it. Like I said, I think if you had to draw a timeline, not a timeline, but if you had to draw a template of how you progress through, I don't agree with it necessarily being you're good at the job, so now you are in charge of that job. Now, that person may have shown a stack of dedication. Could you put them through a training system that teaches them the management part? Because the management part is completely different to the job.
Right. That's
completely different. So when I went from salesperson to sales manager, selling cars was the easy part. It's the people. And there was nothing. There was no transition between that.
No.
And now I feel like in the current thing, if you are a sales manager, it's just reporting, which leads me on to probably my biggest bugbear.
Yeah.
We talked about bullshit jobs. We talked about ineffective managers. I think the job now is becoming, in a lot of cases, I think there's some shit tasks being asked of people to be done in shit ways.
It's just literally, it's like we've turned a private sector job into a public sector job. And what I mean by that is, in the public sector, we all know how much money gets wasted every single day because you've got these hierarchies set up and you've got these people up here and then these people and these people and these people. And at every step of the way, those people are trying to justify their job.
Yeah.
Just to keep their job, just to stay employed. Every single day. So what happens is that shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
So you said exactly right. So let's paint a bit of a picture, right? Especially during COVID. COVID's just made this so much more.
Well, no, but it was way before COVID. Yeah. COVID was like one or two extra little things. But what I want to say, and I'd love some input from people in other industries. Is there a task that you are doing that is meaningless? And do you think, my argument is, I look at a tech company, I'm a big tech guy, I'm a big phone guy, you do updates on your phone, right? All the time. Does the experience get better or worse? It's always better. Do things get streamlined or do they add steps? They always streamline.
They always streamline because it's all about efficiency.
What our business has never done, it's always done the opposite, is added steps, never remove them.
Yeah.
So during COVID, a saying I've probably coined is that we were really good at consolidating people, and we didn't consolidate any tasks.
No.
So we've not put any effort into consolidating tasks. Now, what does that mean? If you had to write down a list of every single thing that you did, are there things there that could be done better? Now, having gone into my own business now, there's some things that my computer system here does that we employ people to do.
Yeah.
I do it all myself now on a much smaller scale, but there's digital solutions to it.
That's right, and that's scalable as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But is there, my favourite one, and I heard it during the week, and that's why I'm going to tee off. Salespeople are notoriously bad for paperwork. Okay, I think it is probably, and again, talking very generally, we don't like what we deem as a bullshit job for us. We think our job is out selling cars.
Which it is. That's the job.
Which it is. Yeah. But we've also got to prepare it and deliver it. But we're slack with our paperwork. We just think, do I have to tick that box? No, someone else can tick that box, and I'm guilty of that. 9 times out of 10, no, I'll say 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10, when that happens in a car dealership, the fix for it is
a new form.
a new form.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't do your paperwork right. So what are we going to do? We're going to put another piece of paperwork
That's
in
right.
there.
Add more paperwork to
Yeah.
make sure, and then they start rating you off that new form too.
Yeah. Okay, so that a tech company would never do that.
No way.
What a tech company would do is, okay, why aren't these people doing this role?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's bullshit, or because there might be a digital solution to it that pre-fills it.
That's exactly where I was about to go. So a tech company would come through and go, okay, so what dealer management system do you use?
Yeah.
So for you guys at home, a dealer management system is a system that we use to input all of our clients' details, all the cars' details, builds the contracts. There's a lot of accounting stuff built into it. You can pull a lot of reports out of it if you choose to. So a tech company is going to come and look at that and go, okay, cool. So how can I optimize this platform that we already have? Because again, so you guys know, once the contract's done up, there is often like 8 or 9 different forms or processes you need to do with things just to get the car registered or, get readies.
The work order for it, yeah.
Yeah, so a get ready is a form that you fill out and you send to someone to go, this is how I want you to get the car ready. Well, you've got all the information on the contract. Just send the contract through. It's got all the accessories on it.
So there's an additional form.
So there's an additional form of real example.
But do you know what it comes down to? And I know why the higher ups do it. It's that accountability. Well, we want to know who fucked it up.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is create a system where there is no room to fuck it up.
Exactly, because the problem is every time you add a step, you add another chance for human error.
Another point of failure.
And obviously it multiplies with every single step that you add.
Yeah.
So, of course, you're going to have more fuck-ups because there's more tasks to do and less time to do them.
Another great example is when I first started in the industry, we used to use a clear deal folder, clear plastic folder, and you grab the contract and all the paperwork and you put it in that clear folder, because sometimes you need to sort through it, you need to pull it out, and you need to see the name, the car, license details, and you need to see that. Mm-hmm. So it went from clear, and then someone came up with a genius idea to, okay, let's get a cardboard version of it, and we'll rewrite the stuff on top.
And do you know why that decision would have been made? Because the clear folders were too expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Except you can recycle the clear folder.
I know exactly.
You can use it 100 times.
You can't recycle your staff members' hours of writing that shit out again and again and again.
Okay, so 2 points there. One, no one's put in the actual dollar cost average of recycling versus binning the handwritten ones.
Yeah.
Also, have you put the labour involved, because you actually need to get rid of those, because now everything's put on the cloud. Everyone's putting all your paperwork on the cloud, so it's easy to access. Well, folders don't scan, so you throw them out. Yeah. So we're creating waste, creating additional labour step.
Yeah.
But nobody has timed how long it takes to write it, how long it takes to dispose it, even how long it takes to order it. No one's timing those things, and that's real labour. That is real, genuine labour. And if you extrapolate that over the amount of deals that the dealership does, that's real stuff.
That's right.
And if you got rid of that, so as simple as, hey, how about we just put them in a clear folder so we don't have to rewrite stuff, you've also reduced the amount of errors, because you're not going to make, there's one less chance at creating an error. What's that worth? We don't know. We've never looked.
And that's it. Like there's one example I can give you of a company involved with the motor trade who has actually improved some things like this, which is Toyota Finance.
Yeah.
So Toyota Finance were one of the first lenders that I've ever used who came up with the ability for you to actually e-sign your documents. It's super secure. It's super quick, super easy. You can't stuff it up. So one of the biggest problems with finance is when you send the settlement documents through and they bounce you because they come through unclear, or you've missed a signature somewhere, or whatever the case may be. And again, it's more labour time like, having to call a customer up, piss them off because you're like, oh, sorry, when you came in and we went through the stack of 25 different pages, you missed one signature on it, which I didn't tell you to sign. So can you come back in and sign that for me, please? So this company completely removed the need for that. So the documents get emailed to you. You click a link, they send a 6-digit code to your mobile. So you have to have a unique email address and mobile number for your 2-factor authentication. Stick that in, you go through, read through all the documents yourself. You can call your finance guy if you've got any questions. You just go click to confirm, click to confirm, click to confirm, done.
So they've not only have they streamlined that process, but they've made it a better experience.
It's a better customer experience.
For everyone involved.
100%. Because I'll tell you right now, what spoils customer experience is when you ordered a car 3 months ago, it's due to arrive, you're so excited about picking this car up, and then on the day of delivery, your salesperson calls you and goes, oh, mate, sorry, I've just had to send you through a rego form. Can you just sign that for me?
I can give you another example that's outside of the motor trade. So it does happen outside, and that's why I want other people's feedback, because I do find this stuff really interesting. There's a cafe that I go to.
Yeah.
And the line is always so long, but there's not that many people sitting around. But they do good coffee, good food.
Right.
And I realised it, right? We've worked in hospitality, we've worked in Dad's pizza shop, you know. You write an order down, take the order off the docket, stick it up, and it gets made. This person, when you get to the counter, they get your food order.
Yeah. They
get your coffee order. They write coffee on a different thing, and I understand why, because the barista is on that side and the chef's on that side.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But then after all that, they then input that into their computer system, their FPOS machine, like the iPad there. They input it, gets better. They input it, push print, it prints out a receipt, which they put to the side, and they don't use it. So that person's spending probably a minute or a minute and a half extra per person.
And you know why that's happened, don't you? You know exactly why that's happened.
Well, probably because they haven't figured out how to split the coffee order and the food order on the docket.
It has happened because a business has brought in new technology, hasn't taken the time to actually take a step back and go, okay, forget all my old processes because I've got this new tech now. Forget my old stuff. How am I going to change my processes to be more efficient using this new technology? All they've done is they've gone, old processes, new tech, ding. They've just added a step.
Yeah.
So a perfect example of where you could be so much more efficient, but you need to actually take a step back and actually look at everything and go, why am I actually doing this?
I want someone to pay me a sum of money per day to go into a business and go, and I'd like to see it from the very top to the very bottom of the rung, and I'd look at each and individual process between there and go, okay, I'm sure there are reports that people have to do that no one looks at.
100%.
I'm sure.
Again, it's a justification thing.
Yeah.
It is literally something that.
But we're not communists. We're not the Soviet Union trying to find accountability. Like we should be. But we should be less on accountability and more about productivity.
Absolutely, 100%.
Because if productivity is what makes the money.
All of these extra steps are just about accountability, like you said.
Yeah.
So it is literally, you need to take up X amount of your time just to make sure if something goes wrong, we can blame you for it.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you get to the end of the month and you're burnt out and you haven't sold enough cars because you've been spending all your time on this bullshit.
Yeah.
And then what do? You didn't sell enough cars this month.
Yeah.
Pressure. It's just, you're exactly right. Less needs to be spent on accountability. More needs to be spent on productivity and efficiency. And maybe the accountability stuff should be spent on your higher up management. Because if you came to me as a sales manager, when I was a sales manager, if you came to me and said, where are you at? How many deals have you done? I would know. My staff don't need to know that stuff. They just need to be going out there hunting that next deal or actively improving what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because if we invest some time in them, it's all going to pay off. That's what investment is, right? Investment of time, money, whatever it is.
But that efficiency thing now, especially, we need to be more and more efficient. I think every industry out there has far less margin, profit margin than it used to have.
Yeah, and COVID has just multiplied these effects as well too.
Yeah, I think it's laid it out, so it's plain to see now. There's still some industries out there that I think haven't been affected and that haven't been disrupted yet. So I think things like law's a big one that you still pay for a time, not an outcome.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a disruptor that comes in and goes, wait a minute.
I think that's already happened. There are certain places you can go now where you're paying more for an outcome rather than for your time.
And shouldn't it be outcomes? outcome based, not how many phone calls you receive.
Absolutely should. But again,
Any lawyers out there, please comment below. We want
yeah.
we want to know.
Hey, look, but that's a perfect example of an industry which is all it's doing is trying to protect itself and protect its margins and its profitability. Because it's expensive to become a lawyer, right? Like, you know, to study and spend all that time, you would want to get a payoff for that.
But okay, so taking a step out of it, does it make it right?
No, it doesn't.
And I think there's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of that stuff that happens where we go, oh, like either that's the way we've always done it, or this is what we need to do because of blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But is it the right thing to do?
No,
is it right for the people that are involved? Is it right for the customers involved? Is it right for mankind?
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Because I was having a conversation with my wife about this the other day. University degrees, are they becoming redundant? Things are moving so quickly. So if you've done a university course, most people out there, by the time you finish that course, the stuff that you learned in that course is redundant. Things are moving so quickly these days.
For sure. Look, I think there's definitely needs to be some streamline. I'm not a uni guy. I never went. Not smart enough. But I do think that if you were to upskill yourself, someone needs to train you, and I think that's a platform where you can do that. But I think you're right. They need to be able to streamline those things.
That's right.
I think probably a lot of it is actually learning to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Less about the content involved, but actually being able to meet deadlines and.
But I mean, like, I'll throw this out there in terms that I guess you can compare to the motor trade. So my wife's currently starting a master's degree. She's doing it online because of COVID.
Yep.
The cost of the course is the same. It's the same cost.
Yeah.
But she's not physically going to a building.
Yeah.
She's not having, so you're not using a facility.
Yeah.
You're not having someone stand up in front of you and actually do a presentation.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just automated content. So she's paying the same amount, and at the end of the day, she's paying the money for the result. She's paying the money for the certificate that you get in the end. But the actual service experience throughout it is completely different.
Yeah, there's big talk about that. A lot of I listen to a podcast about universities in America, and they're saying the same thing. Very few universities have reduced the fees, yet the service that they provided was different. Yeah. Now, when they realised, wait a minute, I don't have to have a campus now. I can do this online. Like, can you imagine the profit margin just shoots through the roof? Now, we'll also have to see what the outcomes look like, because I think we'll find that online courses probably aren't as effective as face-to-face. For now, we're probably a generation or two away from them being more effective when we learn how to do it a lot better than what we are doing it now. But I think we somehow need to build that personal contact part to increase the effectiveness of the training. But there again. That could be an efficiency if they realise the outcomes are the same. And for the unis, they don't care as long as they're getting the
because unis have done it the smart way. Yeah, the unis have gone. We're going to make this so much more streamlined and efficient for us because we're going to be like pre-recorded classes, pre-recorded content. Bang! You can just spray it out there
with an unlimited amount of applicants.
So scalability is massive.
Yep.
Right, because you're not just trying to fit people into a classroom. Scalability is huge. Their profitability just goes astronomically through the roof because it's so scalable, and yet there's no concession to the consumer.
Not yet. They'll get it. There's no way that...
It just needs to be more competitive, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's where competition comes through.
And people, I suppose if you are paying for a course and it is online, maybe you should be asking for a discount or a concession.
Speaking of discounts, all right. Thought provoker for the week.
Yep.
How is the best way to buy a car? Because obviously we talk about selling, and we're going to talk about the motor industry, but everyone out there, or the majority of people out there, will have to buy a car at some point in time.
Yep.
What are your top tips for actually purchasing a vehicle?
So mine is very different to probably what yours would be, because I'm a passion based. Like, I have a passion for cars.
Yep.
I'm pretty analytical too. So. And what I think most people would have done their research in advance. If you ask a car buyer what their advice is. They're going to say, think with your head, not with your heart. Nah. What's the point? If your heart wants something, get that thing.
Yeah.
There's no problem with getting that thing. The thing that you want, get what you want. Because if you listen to your head, so if you had a reason to get a new car and there's one that you like, there's a reason you like that.
That's
Why
right.
are you going to deny yourself of that?
Yeah.
I don't. If there's something I like, I get it. Now I do my research into it to make sure that it's the right one. So my tip is do your research. Most people are doing their research anyway. So research on it. The other thing I would say too, you don't need to drive 5 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. New cars, they're the same. Used cars, you might have you're going to be able to tell there's enough. Like even on my listings on Marketplace, it's got my rating on it. Compare it up against I see my 5-star reviews, and then I see the same car that's a similar version of the car, $2,000 cheaper. It doesn't look as good as mine, and they've got 2 stars. We'll give you the tip. When you go out to see that person, compared to when you come to see me, it's going to be 2 very different experiences.
Yeah.
So use those rating. Those things are valid.
Yeah.
And that's part of your research. The negotiating thing, it's completely different to what it was before. Don't just come in and think you're going to get $5,000 discount on a $10,000 car.
Yeah, especially if we're talking new cars. Like new cars.
No, well, especially used cars now too. And the reason is the beauty of car sales and the beauty of Marketplace is it's created the information at your fingertips so that there's so much data out. The only way that you can win people is by having good ratings or the best price.
Yeah.
So the margins just aren't there anymore. And also because Marketplace is so easy to take photos of your cars and sell it private, there's less vehicles available for sale, which chews into the margins as well. So there's not as much there's not as much margin to play, and don't judge a good deal by the size of the discount.
Correct.
Now, that is the thing that we used to say to people to try and get more money out of them, but it's true, right? I have bought cars for my business, and I've paid off priorities. I've paid what they asked because it was fair, right? It was a fair deal, and I saw more value in it than what that person did. Okay, so don't. I know people have missed out on cars of mine because their ego said I should have got $2,000 off that.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's walked away from it. And you know what? They've either not bought a car, so they're still back where they started, or they've bought something else just because someone showed them $2,000.
I saw a really good quote about this the other day, which was on the bottom of an email that a supplier for a shade sale sent me, because I'm looking at getting a shade sale at home, and it said, "The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price has gone away." Yeah. Such a good example.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that stuff's really important. Definitely thinking with your heart, not with your head. Or look, you got to think with your head when you're doing your research.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Think with your head. Go like, is it big enough for me? Is it going to suit me now and in the future? Is it something I'm going to hold on to long term? Like, what am I looking for in a vehicle? What do I need the car to do for me? Those are probably the main things. I think if you are looking at new cars or used cars, look, use your network. So obviously, you'll know people on your social media, like us, who have been in the industry for a long time. Use us. Like, you might not end up buying something from us.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just ask.
But we might have a contact at a dealership that we know can hook you up. Or we might be able to give you some advice on something going, hey, look, if you're looking at these cars, have you considered one of these? Because this might actually really suit your needs more.
Yeah, what is it? Research bias. And you do find that sometimes when someone's got an idea of what they want and they've only researched that one thing, sometimes it's good to have something to compare it to.
Yeah, for sure.
But don't go and drive 5 different versions of a car either.
No, that's the thing. When you're driving a 20-year-old shitbox, every new car you jump into is going to drive good.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah.
It is nowhere even close to the most important thing about that purchase. So do not walk into a dealership and go, I want to drive that one, and I'm going to drive that one, and I'm going to drive that one. Because I can tell you right now, the drivability of the car is never the thing
No, it's
that
worse.
sells the
I
car.
think it's worse. It's actually worse than that. The problem is if you drive different types of cars, the things that you find that you like about one, and you like about another, and you like about another,
That's right.
you try to put them all together, and that car does not exist.
And you will never be completely satisfied with what you
You're
purchase.
driving, going, oh man, I wish I had that 15th cup holder.
Yeah.
I wish I had green tooth. You know, like you'd be thinking all those things, and but ask someone. Ask your network. We are on social media for a reason.
Yep.
And I'd say that with every industry. I do that with every industry. Sometimes you just might get a random phone call from me and say, hey, what do you know about, I'm getting this dentist job done, or ring a dentist, or a pharmacist, or a nurse, or a construction worker, a builder, or engineer, and you just ask them. We should be using that. We should be using this network.
And that's something that COVID's really put in perspective for me. There's not as much money going around. So use your network. Give your money to people that you know, trust, love, and want to support them and their families.
Yeah.
Like that shade sail, it's being supplied by someone, but I've got a mate of mine who went to school with who's going to install it for me. Shout out to Sambo. I think that's really, really important. Some other things too about buying a car I think is pretty important as well. So obviously we talked about doing your research, allowing yourself to make an emotional purchase so you do fall in love with the car that you buy, because it is the second biggest purchase that most people make in their lifetimes. And you know what? With how hard it is to buy a house now, it can be the first biggest purchase for a lot of people. So you've got to love it. That's really, really important. I would say as well, if let's say that you're not connected in the industry, you don't have people who are in it, and you test drive at your local dealership because they're the most convenient to you, try to do business with the local dealers.
Yeah,
as long as they're giving you good service. If they treat you like shit, walk out, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But if they treat you well, they give you their time, they actually help you make that the decision to buy that particular type of vehicle.
Yeah.
Go ahead, go and do your research, price shop, jump a car sale, see what they're listed for, see what sort of pricing you can get. Do not get suckered into buying somewhere else who's given you no service, will give you no service, just
hasn't
because you
built a
get
relationship with you.
That's right.
You do get perks if you buy a new car from a dealership. You tend to get looked after better.
Absolutely.
From that dealership.
And again, there's a lot of people out there who are not car people. A little bit of advice that I got given years ago, which actually makes a lot of sense. Old school car guy said, leave a little bit of money on the table.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know anything about cars, you would not know how many countless phone calls that we get from old customers of ours all the time going, hey, this has happened, what do you think it is? Or, hey, a mate of mine's looking for this, like, what do you think? If you leave a little bit of money on the table, that salesperson's going to answer your call every single time.
Yeah.
And they'll help you repair your Bluetooth. They'll help you book it in for a service if you don't know where to go. They'll give you a run through how to use all the features again if you're coming back in because you've forgotten things. They'll be happy to do that. But
if you've had to lie, cheat, abuse, to get the perception of the best deal, you could have saved $100.
Absolutely.
But the whole experience would be cut.
Yeah, and that's something like just consider that for a second. Whatever you do for your job, if someone expected you to do that job for less money, what level of service would you be prepared to give?
Yeah, there's got to be a concession.
There has
to be a concession.
Now, on that note too, if you do smash a dealer up until they give you the best deal that you can possibly get, you know you got yourself a good deal, and you get a survey from the manufacturer, if they have given you good service, give them a top rating on the survey. Those surveys, they pay the dealerships a lot of money if they do get top rating surveys. It's actually what a lot of dealerships survive on, because they can take all the margin out of the car and sell it to you and make nothing out of it. But if they hit a certain amount of sales for the month and the survey results are good, they'll get bonus money from the manufacturer, which will help them to tick things over and keep the doors open. If you smash a dealer up to get the best possible price, smash that salesperson and treat them like they're a piece of shit, because like a lot of people do. Yeah. A lot of people treat salespeople like we're second-class citizens.
Absolute disdain.
Absolute contempt.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it when people have bought cars in the past and been shafted and all those sorts of things. Yeah. I understand. But the industry is changing. It's been forced to change.
Yeah.
If you've smashed a dealer up and you've gotten a deal and they have still given you good service, please give them a top rating on the survey, because it really helps them out and it's just the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, if you haven't watched our first one, maybe I suggest you go back and watch the first one. We love the comments. A lot of people sent us texts, and I got a lot of phone calls, even internationally, which was
it's pretty cool. We have an international audience. Right?
Yeah. But if there's anything else that you'd like to see, if there's anything else you'd like to know, again, we're still working on audio, visual. We're still working on that stuff. But if enough people like it, we'll invest in it. If people don't, then we'll stop. But
really appreciate the feedback. Obviously, we are trying to take it on board. Please keep it coming. Again, if what really does help us out at the moment, if you can jump on the YouTube channel, like it, subscribe to it, hit the little bell icon so you know when the next one's being released. That'll help us out. But hey, another one in the books, episode 2 down. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next RDO.
Bye.